Kia ora. Today I'm in the home of Suzanne O'Rourke. Suzanne lives on the wild south coast of Wellington, and it's really a wild day today. So instead of coffee, we're quaffing honey and lemon, warm honey and lemon. Thank you, Suzanne.
Very welcome.
Suzanne, tell me a bit about what you're involved with at the moment.
At the moment, I am heading up the Voice for Life National Charitable Trust. So that's a new trust, and it's the action arm, if you like, of Voice for Life, which is a pro-life advocacy and opinion group. So the kind of work that we are very involved in at the moment is establishing a network of provision for post-abortion counselling and that kind of stuff.
And so is there a great demand for post-abortion counselling?
Yeah, it's a very difficult area to be in. Some of the people who get involved in counselling come out of pregnancy counselling services, that kind of background. Some of them are social workers. If you think about the scale of abortion in New Zealand, and it's a very polarising issue, but if you think about the scale of it, 1 in every 4 pregnancies ends in abortion, and every single one of those is a very deep and a very personal story of loss. So, abortion is a decision that a woman makes at a time of great crisis. There's a lot of reasons why a person might present for an abortion, and the truth of it is that most people, the vast majority, simply can't go back and think about that for many years, and it's typical that 12 or 15 or 17 years later is about the time when people begin to think about it. So,
how did you get involved in Voice for Life, Suzanne?
Well, it's been a bit of a long journey, actually. My background is originally in horticulture. I went to Lincoln and did horticulture. I spent a long time overseas. I was overseas in London and Europe and New York and so on for about 12 or 14 years, so that's a long time. And in that work I was in corporate communications and working in banking, so investment banking. And when I came back to New Zealand, and it's family reasons that brought me back, but when I came back to New Zealand sometime in 2001, it was just very different. I mean, it was a very different place to what I'd left all that time ago, and I was very different. I was coming away from that corporate world to be at home with family, and as I say, it's a bit of a long story. I think that our New Zealand approach to social justice is quite difficult. We don't like talking about issues locally. We're very happy to help out with tsunami relief and disaster relief around the world, but I think when it's a bit closer to home, we somehow feel very compromised, and particularly on pro-life issues, I'd had some experience of working with people who themselves had a history of whatever it is, abortion or whatever, and so I was aware of the symptoms and aware of the difficulty that people face, and I was kind of surprised that in New Zealand we don't acknowledge that there is a deep loss. So that's what took me really down the track of finding out, well, who does speak about this stuff, and what help is there, and how do people get at it, and what's our attitude towards it. And it was really that attitude that really drove my involvement.
Because as you say, it's a very polarising issue, and some people have very hardline attitudes one way or the other, when really what we need is kind of respect and assistance for the women involved.
Yes, your point about how polarising it is very true, and I'm very conscious that about a third of the people who come forward for counselling are men.
Oh, really?
And abortion is an issue that, it's because it's so deep within us. That loss, that decision that you've made, or that decision that you've come to. When you're making decisions like that, they're typically characterised by people who shut out other options to get. You go through a decision tree, and you shut out other options to get to what you're going to do. And if you feel under time pressure, which most people do, and they feel very uncertain about what their options really are, they shut people out as well.
And the men often get shut out of the women's
Are usually
decisions.
shut out very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about a young man once who actually took his own life, and when the family were commenting on it, they said the only thing that had changed had been that his girlfriend had had an abortion, and he actually was not handling that well.
Yep.
They said aside from that, nothing in the family had changed, nothing in his work had changed.
Yep.
You know.
Oh, that's very typical. That's a very common response. You know, men tend to harm and seek violent ways of expressing themselves. I think for me the epiphany, if you like, that I had around this was last year. We had run a series of evenings, just sort of open evenings, and we'd called them Beyond Abortion. We just put little wee black and white adverts in the local community papers. And we said, if your life has been touched in any way by abortion, then come to this meeting. We didn't say who it was, what it was for, or anything else. And in the course of 6 meetings, over 140 people turned up. 140 people. And these are people coming forward in cold blood, if you like. So these are people who have carried the knowledge of this with them all their lives, or for a very long time. And they simply wanted something to do. They wanted to be able to do something with it.
So if people want to get in touch and kind of do something, do you have a contact point for them?
Well, we do. We have a website, www.voiceforlife.org.nz. So that'll be the first, the easiest way to get a hold of us. And there are 42 branches of Voice for Life around the country.
Oh, okay.
So, you know.
You listed in the phone book?
We are in the phone book.
Okay, good.
So we'll be there. And if anyone has an acute sense of that they want to talk to somebody, then do get in touch. We also have a Rachel's Vineyard retreat coming up in June of next year.
Good.
So that's another opportunity for people.
Thank you very much for talking. I'm aware that we could explore this issue really deeply, but the coffee break segment is 7 minutes. So.
Right, okay.
But
very good.
We wish you all the best, and
thank you, Stephen.
Please join us again on Inspirational TV. And don't forget that if you do want to contact Voice for Life, you just need to go to their website or look up the phone book.